evening. We definitely have a full house tonight. I want to welcome you both on behalf of the Council and on behalf of the International Museum of Women, a wonderful institution and vital voices of which, if we're not all members, we should be. Somali Mom was born part of an ethnic minority in Cambodia, an orphan. Living in the forest. She was adopted or taken in by a man she called grandfather, later taken in by a man and woman she referred to as father and mother. But she had been sold into slavery, sold into a brothel, had that horrifying start to life at a very young age. And we're going to hear a lot about that experience, but I think most importantly, we'll point to who she is now and what she's done for others now, because she's now a woman with an extraordinary voice that's being heard around the world. But equally importantly, she is helping give voice to women who had similar experiences to hers. She founded an organization which I refer to as AFASAP, but I have to spell out the name. It's not an easy one. Is Take Action for Women in Precarious Circumstances. But it's actually in French, it sounds a lot more elegant and lovely. So please join me in welcoming Somali Mom.
Thank you.
Now, your story, I'm sorry to say, is far from unique. There are between 20 and 27 million slaves today around the world, including right here in the United States. What, in your view, makes people vulnerable to be sold into slavery to begin with? What are the conditions that lead to that?
First of all, I just want to say, today I know that I have many Cambodian people coming. The first time I'm so happy to read it down and then to see I have many Cambodian come. So, and you know, my period, we have to understand Cambodia background, like 30 years of the war, and then we had the Khmer Rouge regime, and then I have been born in the period of the bombing. So I'm not just one, but many of Cambodian people were suffering. My country was suffering a lot. Suffering of losing the family, suffering of the war, suffering of a lot of things. So it's normal, a kid have been born with the war and then I lose the parents. So my dream is to have the parent and I don't have it because of the war. Otherwise today I don't like the war. I don't like the bomb. I don't like anything. Violence.
Now, you were taken in by a man who believed he might be your uncle. Is that right? And he's the man you refer to as father now.
No.
Tell me the tale, the story.
When I just want to share with you a little bit. I have been born with the war, with no name, with nothing in my life, and born with no mother, no family. Is so hard in Cambodia. And what is my dream is always I want to have a mother. I don't know why always mother, but not father. I want to have a family. I want to have food. I want to have a house. I dream like all the kids dream is to have a family. A day come up in Cambodia when they are old, we call them grandfather. And the old man come to my hometown. And then he tell me that he come from Kampong Cham, is where is my father born. And then he tell me that he know my family. So of course that I'm happy. I'm happy to go with him because that's my dream. My dream is to find a family. I want to have a mother. I want to be a normal children. And then I live with him. And then that is, I think, I make a bad decision is living with him. And then I have been abused, working hard, and then raped, and then in my life in the brothel.
And you were first sold to a man, to a Chinese merchant, is that right?
I first have been raped by the Chinese merchant near our house. But, I'm just like, I think when we are Cambodian, we understand it. When we have been raped, we don't tell anyone else. I think maybe also here in the United States, when you have been raped, when you have the experience, you don't talk to somebody. If you have raped, did you go in to tell everyone that you have been raped? No. And then because I'm from the mountain, my skin is not different, like it's so different than older people. And because I don't have a mother, and then already I'm a bad luck girl already. So why I need to talk to the people that I have been raped? And then what I win? Beating by my grandfather. So I keep silent, I don't tell him anything. And then after I have been married, but it's not married like big wedding. In Cambodia we call sign. It's like the sign, I don't know how to say. We have Cambodian here to help me. It's like, he just come to ask something and we put like some prayer. And then that is wedding, that is married. And then so married him, and then because I lose virginity, and he knew that I don't have it, and though he beating me, so I have been directly going to violate, raping all the time.
Let's talk a little bit about the stigma, because you're saying that you felt you couldn't speak out because you'd been raped, as though it were your fault. And you felt you couldn't speak out because you were of a minority group, as though that were something that should be a source of shame. If there's a stigma, is it for the woman, for the woman who's been in the brothel, or is it for the traffickers who brought her in there to begin with?
The stigma, first of all, is the victim who have very stigmatized, but also the people, Cambodian people who have been through this world, this problem, they are also stigmatized by. I think we have many Cambodians who live here in United States, or they still have it.
You've talked about a great deal of betrayal by the man you called grandfather, betrayal by the man who was your husband. Were you able to, or at what point were you able to start to trust people after being betrayed so much at such a young age?
Yes, but the trust does not come from me. I'm not a good person enough, because I born with anger. I hate the people because the people look at me badly. They make me badly, so I hate the people. But when I come up, like a lot of people, they come and then they give me like warming, they give me love, they trust me, and then day by these people, and then I just look at them and then they teaching me day by naturally. And then it's make me, yes, I can trust.
In fact, you mentioned to me, we're both friends of a woman named Melan Vivir, who was one of the founders of Vital Voices, and then was the State Department, was the ambassador in the State Department for women's issues. And you said to me, you trusted Melan because of her eyes.
Yes. I'm just like, I'm Somali, I'm nothing. I'm just a people from the fear. Like, I'm Somali, and then she coming and her eyes look at me, and then she come and she trusts me. She even don't care about who I am and talking to her about what, and she trusts me. And I can look at her in day and month and years when she coming, when I'm meeting her, and then her trust to me is, for me, like the kind that even I'm angry with a lot of people, and then that is the way I changing by their attitude, by their love, by their trust, and then, so I have to say that I have big debt to everyone who make me in the world today. I have nothing to give you back. What I try to do is, I try to do my best to help these young girls, these young people. No one perfect, but I try I try the best. I'm not to be the best. I just try my best to help, and then to make you that I can do it.
So talk about, I know that one of the important things you're doing is raising awareness. And you're helping those girls escape that life. But you're also thinking and focusing heavily on the whole process of rehabilitation. How, after going through that kind of trauma, a young woman can make a very different life for themselves, can find a livelihood, but can also experience love. Tell me about the process of rehabilitating, what you do to help rehabilitate women who've been through that.
Um, I just want to share with you, I'm not the only one who work on the field work. I have the team behind me. I have many people working on that. I'm lucky that you all just pronouncing my name, but everything, and then behind me, I have my team with me. I just want to say that you can take 5 minutes to save the girl from the brothel. You can find 5 minutes. But after saving them, what are you going to do with them? It's great to have the center. It's great to have professional training. It's great to have all of this. But these women, they need entire life. You know, like each of you, you all working your entire life for your kid, for your children. These children need the same thing. It's like they need you. So first of all, love them, being with them all the time, believe them when they come to you, because they was in the brothel, no one believed them. So when they come to me, you know, like I tell to Gina that all the girls come to me. When they talk to me, I listen to them, I believe them, whatever. I believe them. Day by day, by trusting, and then day by day, they coming and they talking about their story, about their own life. But again, and then by listen to them all time, and then you can gain life.
So tell me, Gina, I should say, is from the Somali Mom Foundation and is here with us right now in the front row. So that's the reference. Let's go back to the raising of awareness, starting with men. Men who are the Johns, men who are the pimps. What do you do and what can others do to raise the awareness among men?
You know, I don't know. It's always when we talk about trafficking, we talk about prostitution, we always going to the men and we look at the men very badly. I tell you, my pimp are women too. So for me, at the time, it's not like it's men's fault or women's fault. It's all together. We have to educate each other together that we can change. So we have to let the women know about what's going on. We have to let men know how to respect to the young girl, or to the victim, or to the people, or to, you know, like. So for me, our work in Cambodia, again, I'm not alone. I have Voice for Change. It's 12 of the girls who we agree all together that we want to put our life in. We want to change the world. It's not changing, but we want to make the people understand that we just want to stand up and changing. We don't want to suffer, and then we don't want to have a woman and girl in front of us to suffering. So we try to work with boy and girl. So it means like we have the network at school, all the school. We have our radio talk show that the Voices for Change. So again, our ex-survivor talking about victim service, about about law enforcement. You know, we're inviting also the government come up, and then who are listening? Women, men, everyone listen to the radio. And then we also working with UNIP. Again, we are not alone, I tell you again. UNIP to educate also the government, who are the police, most of them are men, of course, to be better treated. Because it's great to say, yes, she's in the brothel, she's a prostitute. No one want to be raped, you know, no one want to be raped.
You've taken the view that any woman who's in a brothel is in essence there against her will, or put differently, she is a victim. Or if a boy were in the brothel, you'd say the same thing, I'm sure. Yet some people will say, well, they're there because the money is good, or whatever is the logic. There are those who excuse it. In your mind, it is only a case of victimhood, is that right?
For me, okay, I hate the word prostitute because in Cambodia, it's a straight code, it's a broken girl. And then using this word, I don't like it. And then secondly, I think we have a lot of women here. If you ask each woman, did you want to be raped? I think most of women tell us that she didn't want it. So my work every single day in Cambodia is like, we have our Voice for Change going to the brothel, try to empower the women who have been stigma long time in the brothel, and then they don't know how to escape. You know, sometimes the police can raid them and then can take their body, but their mind, they still stigmatized. They are not ready to get out of the brothel. So our team is going to work with them, talk to them, you know, showing them, even they keep and stay in the brothel. We are there to help them. We are always, if they need something, we are there. So try to empower them to leave the brothel. At the same time, we have also some girls who have been long time in the brothel, and then they are our partner. We call, not partner, peer education. So they are our peer, and then when we have something wrong in the brothel, it means like little girl have been sold or woman have been, you know, abusing, beating, and then they leave us information. And then we have investigation, we're going to investigate it, we work with the police, and then they recuse them. So again, it's not me who going to recuse the girl. I have no right to go to recuse the girl. We work with the governments, the police official.
Now, you started by saying that there was a time when you felt you couldn't speak up, that you know, that I am just Somali, is what you say. Yet there was a turning point. There was a moment at which you felt you could, not just that you could do this work, but you must do this work. You'd been married, you'd lived overseas briefly. What role did that play in a kind of empowering you to take this on the way you have?
You know, for me, if my husband doesn't save me from the brothel, maybe today I got HIV/AIDS or I'm die. So I'm lucky to have him, and then I married him, and I'm going to France for 1 year. But my life past, I cannot forget it, what I have been through. Clients, everything on myself, I cannot forget it. So, and then you was in the brothel, so even you go in front to France, your mother-in-law and everyone know that you was in the brothel. So they called you prostitute, and then he's here. So I cannot leave, you know, like, at least I tell my husband we have to go back to Cambodia.
So back to the stigma that can't go away. So you go back to France. Go back from France to Cambodia. He works for Médecins Sans Frontières. He works for Doctors Without Borders. And so did you, briefly, didn't you? Or did you were an assistant to the nurse, or am I right about that?
Yeah, first of all, I don't want to talk again about my husband because we get divorced, and then I have to say, if I don't have him, I'm not get out today. So I don't want to go to him. You know, it's like he have his own life. But of course, when I come back, I'm working with Médecins Sans Frontières, and then as a volunteer and going to researching about the condom. And whereas my life come back to the brothel, because I have to go to the brothel to talk to the girl about using condom. So my life come back, and then seeing the girl have been beating and raped, and then that is my life come back. I was so sick, I remember. And then after my husband sent me to France for 1 month, and then back to Cambodia, and I start my work. You know, when you have been through something, it's not easy to forget it. Help by psychology, yes, but you have been through too much. So forget it is not easy, but I try and learn how to forgive it.
And so you started by providing condoms to the girls, but then
my life come back to all the stigma, to all the smelling, to all the client, to.
And as these women, these young women, some of them became almost like children to you. I mean, you talk about some of the women, the young girls who first came into your life this way, who were in the brothels, and who I remember there was one story in the book about a young girl with HIV/AIDS who was very ill. I'm now not remembering her name. Tremont.
Oh, I think in the book it's Recon who died already. She died in the books. You know what I try to do today, and then at the beginning, I just try to build a family. Because it's not easy when you go to the people's house, you are prostitute, and then even you get out many years, but you are prostitute. And then it's easy for the people to just point the hand. It's easy to tell the people, it's your fault, and then you do the bad thing, you do the wrong thing. A lot of people always give like, I don't know, we call arguments, like this, right? Arguments.
Arguments.
They never try to understand you. They just like, yeah, you are bad, and then, yeah, you are bad, and then you are bad. We boys in the brothel, we don't want to be in the brothel. The girl don't want, I don't want it. So what I try to be to helping them. And then at the same time, my husband helped me to build also Advocacy. Advocacy in French is Agir pour les femmes en situation précaire. It's mean like,
I told you it was better in French.
because I see them and then I talk to them. I remember I talked to my husband. I got very sick. I said, Pierre, can you help me? This girl, she's been bleeding, and then it's not the condom that she needs. You know, you can bring her in the daytime, and then you give her, you provide her a condom. But if the client, they drunk, they don't want to use a condom, and then they beating them. So they tell me, if you want to help me, let me out of the brothel. So that's the idea, and then Pierre helped me with Eric Merman, with 3 of us who work in the Médecins Sans Frontières.
Pierre being her former husband.
Yeah. So that is like, we started Advocacy. But we started at the beginning. I never feel that we are big today. I just want to build a small house for this girl that we can help them. We can help them by provide them, first of all, love and family. Being with them, listen to them, trust them, because they have no one that can trust them. And then provide them the training, of course, and then that they have a new life. And then they can be independent, and they can say no to the people who want to sell them again. But if I have fortune or not, and then now it's big. I don't want to be big. I always want to be small. I tell Gina, in the foundation, the same thing, and I want to be small. It's because I want to be quality, not in quantity. Mm-hmm. But today, too late. Too late.
Well, in fact, you told me that in the beginning you had no idea how to raise money.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And so that must have been pretty intimidating at first. But now
the same. I don't know how to make money. I don't know.
So how important has it been that some folks in the media, I think about Nicholas Christophe and his wife, Charles Woodong, that they've brought public attention, greatly and raised the awareness of this issue beyond Cambodia, well beyond Cambodia. How important has that been?
Media have two. One is get very good because they can make the people know and then understand about situations. Another way can make my life dangerous, can make our life in dangerous too. So we have to, if we have the media, I'm sorry to tell that, but yes. And to be honest, I don't want to be in media. I just want to be quiet in my center with the girl. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the problem, if I don't talk, who can understand us? So if I can choose, if I can vision choosing, I want to be myself in the center working, helping the girl.
There is some of the question cards that have come up ask specifically about Cambodia, but let me just note, please do think beyond that one country. Even though Southeast Asia has been such an epicenter for this problem, it's not alone. One questioner points out that a lot of people are sold into slavery to pay back a debt that a forebearer had. Talk about the degree to which that is going on and whether that continues today.
Yes, of course. We have, we have our experience. Some of girls have been, sometimes she sold herself. She's agreed to sell herself because of the debt of the family debt. So why this problem? First of all, poverty, war, 30 years of war, poverty, lack of education, inequality between men and women, and then job employments. We don't have it. So,
So what are the ways in which you're helping the women with whom you're working gain a livelihood, gain skills that will allow them to find some level of work and some level of income.
So otherwise, I need all of you here because I'm good on underground with the girl, but we have also SMS. It means like our foundation here, they work top. It means like with all the how we saying fundraising awareness. So I believe on the top, and then with the grassroots, and then all together we can join, and then that we can have help, and then make more solution to the girl. And then I have many of friend that I just knew them because I'm just come and speaking. So I have 2 people come in Cambodia. When they come to me, they tell me, Somali, how I can help you? And then I don't know. I tell them, you use your talents, what you know how to do, and do it, and come to Cambodia and help it. So one of them, Sylvia, she is now she's from Singapore alone. She's from Singapore, and now she build business to helping my girl too. So the name is New Idea. So she specialized on the marketing, and then right now she help, like I know 7 or 10 girls right now. But it's for me 7, 10 girls. For maybe the number for you is little, but for me it's big. And then we have new friend who coming, and we have Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder come to Cambodia now. They building the salon, the hair salon, hairdressing. So to training the girl for makeup, for hair, for everything, 3 years. So they work closely with my team. Don't ask me personally the question because I don't know. They deal with my team. I don't know. I don't know.
So your mother, the woman you call mother, who herself had been sold into a brothel at a young age, she came and helped teach sewing, for example, to the girls. Was she your first employee or your first volunteer? Was your mother?
My mother?
The woman, yes.
Yes, when I start Advocacy, I have no one. So I have a friend of mine who borrowed me the house. And one Swiss guy who I met him when I was in the brothel too, and he became my brother. He's a lovely guy. He gave me 10 machine, sewing machine. Yep. And then, so I have no one coming. So I asked my mother, adoption, to come and help me to cooking. I asked my sister, adoption, to come and help me to make the dress, the area that is come from the girl too. Sewing, to teach sewing. So otherwise, when the people say, yes, Somali, you have a family, and yes, I started the beginning with them. And then I started. And I even write in the books, officially. And everyone is my family.
So as you think about, many of the people in this audience are philanthropists, are people trying to think through not only how do you address a situation right now where it's already occurred, that this young woman has already had these horrific experiences, and now it's about rehabilitation and reentry into a more joyful life, in essence. But as you think about the causes to begin with, about, for example, the status of women, the status of minorities, are you seeing any difference in Cambodia today from when you were a child? Are women held in higher esteem now? Are minorities less discriminated against? Or is a young girl just like you being born today facing the same thing you faced?
It's not the same. In my spirit, it's not, we don't have phone. We don't have the iPhone, we don't have internet, right? Mm-hmm. And then here, today, we have the globalization problem. Though we have internet, sometimes it's good to connect each other, but also sometimes it's make also good for the trafficker networking too. So I think all of you are more clever than me about that, because if I have my phone, I know how to call. And now I'm good on Facebook, but technologically, I don't know. So yes, it's not the same thing between my period and then now. The thing is like horrible. It's like to see young and younger girls have been abused as virgin. But at the same time, the government, the people now, the people around the world now, they knew, you know, if you talk like 20 years ago about the prostitute, about the brothel, no one want to talk about that. Yeah. Because it's so having problem, it's so traumatized problem, we don't want to talk about that. Everyone close their eyes. Right now, the people talking about, right? Because we have newspaper, because we have like internet, you can go to the Google and you can download and you have many things, everything. And then you can learn more from internet. So now the people, they are, I don't say like openly talking, but they become talking and talking now. So what I hope is like talking is great. The time now is reacting. Not talking is good. Reacting, that is a thing. And it's not easy to react.
And with I mean, back to information technology and how that's changed things, it makes law enforcement a little easier. Frankly,
yes.
It's easier to track the trafficker. But it also makes trafficking easier.
Easy
right?
too.
It's the very same technology. Anything involving logistics of any form, right, can be enabled through that. I keep wondering and wanted to ask you about, you know, not everyone's part of the digital age. We always think everyone is, that it's so pervasive, but it is possible to be so poor that you don't have access to technology.
To be so?
So poor not to have that access to technology. So I think we as a group need to think about, what about those who are left out of the digital age as well in a situation like this? So one of the questioners asks about the nature, we're back to the nature of the work the girls do. This is someone who's concerned about child labor as well, and wondering what is appropriate work at what age, and how do you think about that in your organization? The kind of work that you'd give a woman versus the kind of work you'd give a young girl.
So the question is, can you just shortly the
look
question
at the
for
work. I will actually find the thing. How does your center change the work with the girls of varying ages, since the age of rescued girls can be from very young? I mean, I think they can be as young as 10 and 11, isn't that right? Do you give them the same kind of work and the same kind of training you would give a 21-year-old?
No, we have 3 centers in Cambodia and 2 we call vocational training center. So it means for the girl they are 16 up to 22. So they have specific work. It means that we have vocational training, hairdressing, weaving, sewing, and computer training, English training. And then we have also the center who are located in Kampong Cham province. That is for the little girl, for the small girl who we can find the girl, 7 years old girl, up to 16, and then they can stay for longer. It's been like 10 years, more than 10 years. So they go into school, like every child, every kid need to go to school. And then, you know, I just want to share with you, like now, because more than 10 years, I have one of girl, she is 2nd year of law school. And one of them, she is in University of Psychology. And then this year, I have 4 of girls who are going to graduate high school. And one of them, she wants to replace me. She said, "Mommy, you get old, now it's time for me." Yeah, that is good because I get older and I'm tired to go. You know, come here and talking to you is great, but I get tired too. I just want to be home and cooking. That is my dream. I want to be a mother. And talking is good, but too much sometimes to my mouth. And so they can stay like longer as they want until university, until they graduate. And then if they want to work with us at Advocacy with the foundation, we are welcome them. But if they wish to work with other NGO, and then they do it. They do whatever they want to do. But I tell you, like, they are like my own kid. So they are my kid. They are our kid.
So we have a question and an answer. The questioner asks, is it possible to come to Cambodia to do any volunteer work for at your facility? And
Can I answer one by one because
Yes.
after I get all
Go ahead.
forget it. You know, I'm not here and asking. It's great that you hear me and you want to come to Cambodia and volunteer, but you know, I just want all of you to be aware of the people around you. Helping the people is not just I'm going helping Somali is the best. No. Maybe your neighborhood need you. You know, sometimes when you go out of your house and then somebody in the street and then they need you, and then you just want to try to take a plan to come and help me, that's not fair. So for me, helping is not you fly to Cambodia and helping me. You can help the people around you, around your house, your country, your people. And then if you can come into Cambodia and help, that's the best. But for me, help human being, that's a great thing. Start by now, by your neighborhood first. Don't close your eye and then just go to Cambodia because you love me. No. Not. Just start it. And then we have many NGOs who try to work on this in San Francisco and United States, everywhere. And then you can, you know, if you are young, you can volunteer with them to get more experience. And then you can come and work because our work is so big. It's not easy to understand. It's not, my work is it's not easy. You have to be very patient and compassion. I have my life in. If I don't have this life that I have been through, I tell you, I never, ever can work. I cannot. Because when you open the eye and you see the girl who have been raped and sold to the brothel, they stigma and then they cry and then you're heartbreaking. At the same time, you have to go to the donor and then you try to explain them and then they don't understand you. And heartbreaking. Sometimes you meet the people, they are great, their good heart is great. They hugging you and then you feel warmer. But sometimes in front of the people, they are like, somebody, what you want? And then I feel like, I'm going home. So it is not easy. And then the work is very traumatized. It's not easy to understand. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I just urge each of you that read about trafficking. Try to read about the victim. What is the victim life like? It's not easy. Sometimes it makes you anger because you hear that they have been raped 20 or 10 clients a day and then you want to kill a man. That is not the solution. So try to pick it up, read it more, be patient. It's not killing are the solution. How you can bring the solution by, by like use your talent and intelligence to help. Because I have many women who coming and like, Somali, I'm going to kill this man. And like, no, it's not solution to going to kill it. It's what I am before. I was anger, and each time I want to do it. Not now. Now I'm a mother and grandmother. I cannot.
But let me read to you the answer to the question that came from someone else. And she writes, her name is Annie, and she wrote saying, my friend and I recently visited your Siem Reap shelter. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Your shelter. Donating goods for the 45 women and the 2 kids that live there by providing basic goods and necessities, gained a good perspective on the girls' daily lives. And I'm not going to read the whole question or statement, but the end is, I don't have any question, but a simple thank you for the work you've done for the shelter and for the girls. So I think the answer is to both work at home and gain some inspiration from the work that you've done. A couple of questioners ask whether when you're talking about these issues and your own experience in your own organization, whether the reaction you get in Cambodia is different from the reaction you get here. In Cambodia, do people hear a criticism when you speak out, or do they see an opportunity they see a solution, see an opportunity to help?
When I first started in Cambodian, they knew about my story. Of course, they don't like me. Day by day, I don't care about the people like me or not. I'm not here for the people who like me. I'm here to do my work. It's helping my girl. I don't care about others who love me or not. It's up to you. And then day by day, by working, and then these women see it. These people see my work every single day. And right now, I try to talk with the people in the garment, with the women in the garment, with the wife of the garments. And then now it gets better and better. But you still have very patient, and then you just like keep like, I'm not tired to talk to you. I'm going. Today you don't listen to me, tomorrow I'm going back and talk to you about that. I just want to gain, the people can understand and can say like, if it was my kid, if it was myself, it was, like, I just want the people to feel it. Like, it's not because she's in a brothel and then she wants it. I want them to feel it. If it was my daughter, who know? No one know. What's happened in Cambodia, what's happened here also in the United States. Again, I don't want to make all of you scared. I just want to make all of you aware of these issues, of this problem.
You talked earlier about working with the government as they crack down and try to release women from the brothels. What happens when a girl escapes from a brothel? When you escaped, you were beaten and tortured, right? What happens now when a girl escapes? To what degree do they end up going back because they don't see alternatives? They don't find a livelihood.
Again, talking to the government, we have some police who are good, quite good, anti-trafficking police that we work with. We identify someone who is working. But we still have the people who are corrupted too. So we have both sides. I think here is the same thing. Some people are good, some people are bad. And then, of course, if the girl, they run away from the brothel and then they go to the good police, and then they have been saved. But if they go to the wrong one, it means that the pimp one, and then that is really go back to the brothel. But now in Cambodia, it's like more publicity. Now we call publicity, right? The awareness. We have the campaign. We have Ministry of Women Affairs. We have many NGOs who working on the trafficking awareness. So we have the phone. We have many NGOs who working on this issue. So now the girl, they get more opportunity. It means like they can get the phone hotline that they can call. But the thing is that if they put them on the cage, how you can call? So that is another thing. But girl who have been like in the cage, or sometimes we have also the girl who the client take them to the hotel and then they're thinking enough, they take a telephone and then they can call. But it's still, when you are traumatized, when you are in a situation like you are scared and afraid, how you can have an idea to take a phone and call? That is the thing that all of us need to understand. We are not clever like you to manage and to escape. No, we are scared and then not.
But they then need to be aware that organizations like yours are there. So how do you get the word out that you're there? Is that common knowledge throughout Cambodia? Do people know of you and your organization as much as we know about you and your organization here?
Yeah, in the brothel, in Phnom Penh, whole brothel, they know us well. They know us well. Like I tell you again, we have our team we call outreach team. Outreach team, they go to the brothel to reach out the girl. And then we have also our hotline, the phone call. And then we have also like in the tuk-tuk, like we put it like our, all the, not all the tuk-tuk, and then we put like the fish in the number that they can call us.
Yes.
Yeah, and we also work some province, so we are not working for whole Cambodia. We're choosing some province that we work. Again, I'm not the one who working and make everything. A lot of people, they feel like Somali, she make it, done everything in Cambodia. I'm not. I'm just one of drop of the water. But we have many a drop of the water do it too. So I do it in small part of what I know how to do. And then all the people, they work in their own small part, what they know how to do, and then we work together.
Now, we're all thinking in this room about what we can do as an individual, what you've done as an individual, but there are other actors. Corporations, companies have to think about whether or not there's slavery somehow in the supply chain. Have you found, are there companies like Estee Lauder that are reaching out to you and saying, we want to be part of the solution? I think you mentioned Diane van Furstenberg to me earlier, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, before we have signed up the petition. I'm French, so I'm petition. Petition, right? With Body Shop for 3 years is to make the people understand and awareness, what's going on. And then now Estee Lauder come and help us. We have Bobby Brown and Bumble and Bumble. I don't know this makeup because I never use these ones. Bumble and Bumble. And then we have also hotel like Hilton Hotel who also sign up for the. It's not about money, okay? It's just like about like they sign up and then they talking about these issues.
So they're making sure that as a hotel, that's not a place where
Yes.
a John can bring a prostitute. I mean, and the whole travel industry, I think, has to be thinking about this as
Yes.
well, right?
Yes. So for me, it's not like if it's not because like yes, somebody she come in and she need money. It's not about money, but it's about awareness. It's about all together. It's about if you know the company and then you're talking among your friends, the people around you about the trafficking. That's all. And then try to also to bring a solution. It's mean like, some of you are designer, good designer, because now in our website we're selling some scarf, something, but it's old. Like you tell, like you think like 10 years we have the same scarf. We need to follow up. We need to be more and bigger and better. So we need all of you to help. Just like bring me idea, help me to be better, and I'm ready to learn. My staff ready. I get a little bit old to learn more and more, but we are ready to get your idea and then put together, because I believe that all together we can change the worldwide.
I think one of the question cards relates to advocacy and asks, here it is, and asks whether, notes that you've talked about the kinds of services you're providing for these girls, but also what is your role as an advocate when it comes to laws or the enforcement of existing laws within Cambodia?
Can you just like?
So how would I put this? So,
how are we working with the government? How are we training the Voices for Change to be advocates and engaged in the legal system and the law?
Yeah, so we work with UNIP again. That UNIP, they specialize on human trafficking. Like UNIP is, Silo, can you tell all the whole name? Because
the United Nations and Interagency Programs.
United Nations and then, I don't know, yeah. UNIP. And then they are very special, they are very good people. They are specialized on the human trafficking. And then they have like, they work corporate with the government. In Cambodia, 11 governments, 11 ministry, not government, 11 ministry. And then they give a Voice for Change a chance. It's like we work partnership with them. It's mean like they have 1 week, whole week, and then they give us 1 whole day. So 1 whole day for Voice for Change. So first of all, we're sharing a little bit about our story, if they want, if the girl want it, but we want to share our story because we want the people to understand us. And then after talking about law enforcement, about, our experience that we have been through, the law enforcement too. Bring them, educate them to be better, treat. A woman in the brothel are not thing that they can beat and hit all the time as they want to be. So we have this, and then we also work with the Ministry of Women Affairs for not Women's Day, Trafficking Day. So we make whole Cambodia understand that in Cambodia they recognize that we have the traffic in Cambodia. And then we make Trafficking Day. We invite all ministry come, and then of course that they come, they listen to you or not, you don't know, but you are here to talk and you're talking about. And yeah, and it get better. I am optimist.
In your book, you note that in the very beginning, you didn't feel you could speak out. You didn't feel you could give a speech, that you could talk publicly about these issues. But then you tell a story of when you're going to receive an award. It's on Mother's Day with Graça Machel from South Africa and Mozambique. Tell us about that moment and how you got over that fear of speaking out?
I remember, and then that I had to say thank you to my husband. He's very strong, but he's good. And then they tell me we had a round table that I'm going to speak, and I tell Pia what I'm going to speak, and then speak about what? And he say, yeah, we need to prepare it. And no, I cannot read it. I can take a paper and read it. I'm not good on that. And round table, I don't know what is mean round table for me. I don't know. I come from very grassroots, and then I don't know it all. And then like each of women have their turn, and the last me. And then she like, oh my God, she going to tell all the worst thing. And then I just stand up, and then I don't know. And then I just talking about my story. What I come from, what I come from. And then about my work, about my feeling. And then the light come up, and I see many people in the room, and then it made me scared. But at the same time, it made me warm, because everyone said Somali, and I feel like, wow, I'm not rejected by the people. I have some people who love me, who are here for, And then that is the first time that I feel like we have the good people in the worldwide, because I never feel that we have the good people. I always feel that the people in front, behind me, always bad people.
So as you join me in thanking Somali Mom, I think it's our chance to say Somali. So.
No. Thank you.
Let me just add that Somali's book is here for sale, thanks to Book Inc. I've read it, and I can tell you it is a marvelous book. So I urge you to purchase one and have Somali sign it for you. I just want to give a special thanks to both the International Museum of Women, as well as Vital Voices, and to my colleagues at the World Affairs Council and the Global Philanthropy Forum, and to the Somali Mom Foundation that's made it possible to help us help Somali do what only she can do. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I think you should.